Welcome. My name is Brittany Timberlake. I am fortunate enough today to be filming this yin practice at the Amana Yoga Studio in Quispamsis, New Brunswick. This yin practice will hopefully help you with any lower back discomfort or pain. Of course, we'll be targeting the lower back, but we'll also be getting into the glutes, the hips, the IT band, lots of different areas that when they get tight or uncomfortable, they can contribute to lower back pain as well. For this practice, if you had a blanket and 2 blocks close by, that would be very helpful. So let's get started laying down on our backs. And taking your time to come down onto the floor. Option to have your legs extended out long, or you could bend your knees, walk the feet out a little bit wider, and then let the knees fall together. So coming into this constructive rest type shape. For some people, this can feel very therapeutic for the lower back. So as we settle, let the body feel really heavy. Imagining that the floor or the earth is holding you up. Feel the weight of the skull being cradled by the mat. Feel your shoulder blades heavy and cradled. And the hips, lower back, heavy, supported. Noticing where your hands and your feet make contact with the floor. You might like to close your eyes, noticing the dark space behind the eyelids. Feeling your breath gently moving in and out of your nose. The belly expanding on the inhale. Navel slowly falling down towards the spine on the exhale. And so maybe as the body feels heavy and settled, and the breath becomes a little bit slower and steady, maybe the thoughts in the mind slow down a little bit more. Just taking this one breath at a time, one thought at a time. from wherever you are, the legs extended or knees bent. Well, bend the knees and just bring the soles of the feet in towards the bum. And we'll move into a supported bridge. You could reach for your block. So taking the block to its lowest or medium height, we're going to place that block right at the base of the spine. And if your lower back is far too sensitive to have a block underneath there, you could even just fold up your blanket and have a little bit of elevation with the blanket. Option to stay here with the knees bent, or you might like to walk your legs out a little bit longer. This is going to increase the compression or sensation in the lower back, but also allow for a little bit more of an opening through the hip flexors, the front of the thighs. This is a really wonderful shape to take to counter all of the sitting that we do day to day, whether you're sitting at a desk or in your car, sitting on the couch. We'll slowly make our way out of this shape. The soles of the feet come back in towards the bum if the legs were extended. On the inhale, gently lift the pelvis up. The hand reaches under to remove the block. And very, very slowly, Just rolling the spine, pelvis comes to land. And just allowing yourself to sit in stillness. You may like to come back to that shape where the feet are a little bit wider and the knees fall together. Bringing the awareness down into the lower back. And maybe you can just hold whatever you're feeling in a non-judgmental way. So not labeling it as good, bad, painful. Just noticing what's going on. Being the observer. And when you're ready, we'll just draw one knee in and then the other knee in. You can help the knees with the hands. And give yourself a little squeeze, a gentle rock side to side. Giving the lower back a little bit of a massage. I'll just roll onto one side, slowly coming up. We'll move into a sleeping swan. You might like to have your blanket close by. Coming onto all fours, we'll bring the right knee in towards the right wrist. We're just walking the left leg back. So it might be nice to have your blanket underneath the right hip. If you feel like that knee is the hip is floating in space and kind of uncomfortable, it's nice to have that little bit of support. And we'll just take a couple breaths more upright. So pressing your fingertips into the earth, you could tent the palms. Inhaling, lifting up. So here we're not only getting into the right hip, but bringing a little bit of a back bend again into the spine. Relaxing your jaw. And on the next exhale, just allowing the torso to come forward and down. Coming down onto forearms or blocks. You might even come all the way down onto your belly or onto your shoulders. And checking in with the right knee. Remembering that even though we're finding stillness for 3 to 5 or more minutes in these shapes, anytime that you need to come out and lay in a restful position, then please do. It's very common in a practice like this where we're targeting a lot of the thick, dense fascia of the hips, that certain emotions might arise. It could be sadness, happiness. A lot of times we hold a lot of suppressed emotions in our tissues. So when we take the time to marinate in stillness and open up those areas, you could have a rush of different emotions come up. And for the next few breaths, we'll slowly make our way up onto the hands. And we'll tuck the back toes. You can lift into a downward dog. Or maybe you like to just come down to lay on your belly in stillness. Finding whatever counter stillness or movement feels right in your body right now. And if you are choosing to move, moving very slow and mindfully, and we'll move into sleeping swan on the left side. Setting up any props, blanket underneath the left hip. And as we did before, we'll just take about a minute, a little bit more upright, pressing into the fingertips, proud chest. your next breath out, we'll bring the torso forward and down. Remembering that you don't have to look exactly like you did on this side as you did on the right side. Softening into the left hip. Being patient with yourself. Patient with what you're feeling in your body. Patient with the thoughts that are coming up. Very slowly starting to come out of this side. Again, taking any counter movements or stillness that you would like. And then we'll make our way to a seat. You can reach for your blanket and fold it in such a way so that we have a little bit of elevation for the pelvis as we're going to come into a forward fold. We'll extend the right leg out in front, bending the left knee and just letting the leg fall to the side. You can have the left foot close to the right leg. You might like to have your block underneath the left knee. So we'll sit up with a tall spine. Big inhale. And on the exhale, start to hinge forward. And as the body starts to come forward, you can choose if you'd like to have your torso over the right leg. It might be a little bit further to the right. Or you could come more towards the middle or to the left. So where the torso is in relation to the extended leg, just little movements is going to change where you're feeling this in the lower back. So depending on what's going on in your body today, you might like to shift where the torso is. And if you don't come very far forward at all, that's okay. And if you do come very far forward and you want some support, you could always have a block and rest your forehead on that. A nice way to feel extra grounded is to have something underneath the third eye, underneath the space between the eyes. let's release from here. Bring a little bit of weight into the hands, rolling up through the spine, the shoulders, the head, land over the hips. Just pausing at the top. We can use our hands to help bend the right knee, leaning back and letting the knees fall side to side. And we'll move into this shape on the other side, extending the left leg forward, bending the right knee, and taking your time to set up any blocks. Inhale, tall spine, and on the exhale, starting to hinge forward at the hip. Choosing where you would like the torso to be. Never going too quickly or too aggressively. There's no pulling or gripping with the hands. Letting the spine round. You have nowhere to go. You've got nothing to do except be here right now, taking care of your physical and mental bodies. We're cultivating patience and compassion. Not only for ourselves, but when we leave our yoga mat and we head on into the world and we're interacting with other people, we'll notice that the patience and compassion that we've cultivated here usually spills over into those relationships as well. next few breaths, we'll bring weight into the hands and come up slow. Pausing. We'll use the hands to help bend the left knee, eventually leaning back onto the hands and letting the knees fall side to side. And we'll come to lay on our bellies. We're going to make our way into Sphinx. So depending on how your lower back is feeling today, your back bend might look something like just having the elbows come out to the sides, stacking your palms, and having your forehead rest on the palms. So laying like this, you're still getting a back bend. Or you could come up onto the elbows. And the elbows come right underneath the shoulders. Letting the arm bone, the humerus, take some of the weight here. So you don't have to use as much muscular effort to keep you up. You could play with having the legs out a little bit wider or close together. You could just see how that feels in the lower back. Closing the eyes, bringing the focus back inside. Not worrying about how you look or how I look. Just tuning into how you feel. Noticing where your mind tends to go to when you become quiet and when you become still. And for the last minute or so, you could stay right where you are, or you could turn the hands out towards the corners of the mat and press your way up into seal. Just noticing that if you're pressing yourself up, if your glutes and legs start to clench, and see if you can again relax the lower body. If that's not accessible, then just coming back down onto the elbows, because usually when the muscles start to tense like that, it's a message that you've gone too far. The elbows slowly land if they're lifted. From elbows, we'll just come to lay down on our belly. The elbows coming to the sides, or you could have your arms by your side and resting on one cheek. And if you're resting on one cheek, we'll just switch to the other cheek. We'll bring the head back to center. Palms of the hands just to the outsides of the ribs. Pressing the body up and back, coming into a child's pose. You could have your knees close together as we lean the hips back. This is going to bring more decompression into the lower spine as we come into child's pose. Or you could have your knees wide apart. So still decompressing the lower back, but not as aggressive as with the knees together. So you can choose. The arms are soft, the forehead resting on a block, blanket, or the mat. Feeling the texture of your mat underneath your fingertips. Feeling the temperature of the air on your skin. Inhaling, bringing the torso up and walking the hands back towards the legs, just so we can shift the weight of the hips over to one side to come to sit. And we'll come all the way down onto our backs. Bending the knees, soles of the feet down by the bum. Drawing the knees now in towards the chest, and just give yourself another squeeze, another hug. Soles of the feet land, and we'll shift the weight of the hips a little bit to the right as we set up for a twist. You could have your arms out wide into a T or a cactus, letting the stacked knees fall to the left. You could have a block underneath or between the knees. You could twist your roots by taking that top right leg and wrapping it around the bottom. By wrapping the legs, this could bring some more sensation into the outer right glute and IT band. And letting the head fall in either direction. Giving yourself permission to relax a little bit more. On your next exhale, we'll use the core to help bring the legs back to center. Drawing the knees in and give the legs a squeeze. And in your own time, moving into a twist on the right side, shifting the weight of the hips a little bit to the left, allowing stacked knees or wrapped legs to fall to the right. And slowly releasing from the twist, coming back to center. We're going to move into our final resting corpse. So if there's any other movements that you need to make, please do. As we come into corpse, you might like to take the shape that we started with the feet a little bit wide and the knees falling together. Or you could just let the legs walk out, resting on the earth. The inhales to become a little bit deeper and longer, letting the head rock side to side, moving your fingers and toes, rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Next inhale, the arms reach up overhead. Big morning stretch from fingertips to toes. The knees bend so we can roll onto a comfortable side. taking our time to come all the way up. We'll bring our hands to our heart as we sit up with a tall spine, the crown reaching up towards the sky. The pelvis is rooted. So I hope that your lower back feels a little bit more at ease over the next day or two. And thank you for sharing your yin practice with me. Namaste.